It's Friday again, and that means it's time for another edition of Fancy Insider Weekend Picks. We're finally back to a full slate in the AFL this weekend, while the NRL is continuing with its series of bye rounds, so we have a shortened 4-game slate there. Let's start in the AFL, where the action already started last night with Hawthorn and Port Adelaide getting the round underway. Unfortunately, none of those players made our team of the week, so let's take a look at that team. The big favourites this week are Greater Western Sydney, Gold Coast, Adelaide and St Kilda. And that Gold Coast game is particularly worth watching. The bookies have the total predicted 196, so both teams in that game could provide some value. That explains some of this cash lineup, with Stephen Martin and Tom Rockcliffe representing Brisbane, and Harborough from the Gold Coast also coming from that game. We have Steve Johnson from GWS in the forwards, alongside Pavlich, who's in a close game against Melbourne, and he's joined by Connor Blakely in the mids as another Freo rep. Dal Santo from North Melbourne and Hewitt from Sydney provide some consistency in line with their salaries to fill out the midfield, while Freo again represented with Sam Collins in the defence. A number of the Freo players really look poised to deliver good value in this round, and you'll see a lot of them in my lineups over the weekend. In the NRL then, we switch to Moneyball, and note that Canterbury and Canberra are both favoured by over 12 points this weekend. There's a bunch of changes this week due to the State of Origin game, which means in tournaments you'll probably find that some random players score really well. But from a cash perspective, we're going to look somewhat to the more established players and the stability they provide. We've gone with Leacher at hooker, Cartwright in the forwards and Rudrada on the wing as kind of the cornerstone of this lineup and the big spending players. While the inclusion of Ben Hannon is there to hopefully capitalise on that Canberra scoring. Mitchell Orbison provides good value for the price in the forward line, while Chris Heitington looks a value pick for Cronulla. In the wings, Brett Morris is another Canterbury representative providing good value in line with the bookies' odds, with the final slot there going to Bevan French for the Eels, who we're hoping can capitalise on that Friday night game against Sydney. Nathan Cleary, as with last week, I think appears undervalued at just 4,900, and so we've got him in as the half in this cash game lineup. And that's it for another week. Be sure to take a look at the Fancy Insider website for the first instalment of our DFS 101 series, where we cover tournament entry fees against the standard of players in them, as well as some new features that we're going to be launching in the coming week. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the leaderboards.